like to start the first session with giving the word to the two speakers who are going to welcome you and give you some first opening considerations. This would be Cyril Kliekwinski and Scott Mccormick. We'll start with Cyril. Cyril joined the European Commission in 2016 as the project officer in the Future Connectivity Systems Unit, DJ Connect. For the previous 10 years, he has acquired significant biomedical engineering expertise working within hospitals, universities, and companies active in the e-health R&D domain to design and develop solutions for clinical decision support systems and medical devices. Cyril, he holds a Master in Science in Electrical Engineering from the Grenoble Institute of Technology. So Cyril, look forward to your opening remarks if you want. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Wim, for this introduction. So many thanks to you and the 5G-Blueprint colleagues for organizing this workshop, this interesting forum, where various stakeholders, I'm sure, in the area of transport and logistics for teleoperations will have the opportunity to participate also in this debate. Before going through very quickly, then to introduce the agenda, I will go through first considerations. So as you know, as the European Commission, we are funding some research activities that we are funding at European levels on 5G corridors. It is really about activities that are about deployment. And so we are already investing around 80 million euros in these projects, where experimentations and tests are running, also validation of the technology. So in these deployment projects that I will introduce a bit later on, and they will do it even better than I do. It is interesting to define the service requirements and the main principles that will be governing these activities. So we really have to take into consideration the service continuity across the border, also in terms of teleoperations. We will have also hands-on with the projects that are working on that, while dealing with the inside infrastructures that are in member states to support the teleoperation activity, but also the cross-border infrastructures and all these activities around socioeconomic drivers, and also in view of the upcoming Safe Digital program that we are currently setting up for upcoming research and innovation activities around Europe. So what do we want in Europe? So we want, in the course of this decade, to build pan-European networks of 5G corridors to enable at a European scale the connected automated mobility, the service in CAM for in Europe. So we need networks effect and scale, such a scale to build such a digital ecosystem in the areas of CAM and for in the areas of public interest and such as, for example, transport networks, but logistics as well is a very important market. That is why we approach it from a European view with a cross-border perspective. 5G should also be seen as a multi-service environment. So it has to provide various use cases for CAM, but also for any other services that could be interesting around vehicles and roads, such as the teleoperation use cases. Infrastructures and backbones for digitizing the public sector networks are important, but also the transport networks that is also of public interest. There are several requirements that we have in the domain, as you might know, such as uninterrupted coverage, meeting the service requirements for example, for safety, for CAM and ITS, where the continuity has to be safeguarded when we pass the border. So this is a challenge that is required by the project to ensure that. We need also strong cooperation between the member states and the different players, so as to be consistent with the approach of the corridor that we have defined. Also to deliver on the 5G pioneer bands and coverage challenge. So where we do not really have to focus on super high capacities, we might consider lower bands, but we hope to consider also the mid bands or the high bands, 5G pioneer bands, for example, the 3.6 gigahertz band, while using real 5G services. So I will be also, I think we'll be very interested also to hear about the safety services, in particular in the area of transport and logistics. After the first introduction of the next speaker, after me, Scott, that will be, I think, on teleoperation and what it can bring to society in general. We'll jump on the teleoperation use cases and activities that are happening in the Horizon 2020 project. Let me share maybe the agenda of today. Here it is. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yes, I will. So, as I said, you will have a first presentation of the different teleoperation use cases and activities that are happening in the Horizon 2020 project that we are funding, 5G-Blueprint, 5G-Croco, 5G-Mobix. What is the current thinking and the main visions? What is coming out of these 5G corridor projects? And we will see what the project are delivering for teleoperation, what is their vision in this domain. So I think it will be very interesting. After, we will have a first panel from vision to reality, teleoperation as a solution to the industry's structural challenges. Here we will discuss, and I hope we'll discuss the cooperation model with various panelists who will contribute to the discussion. So what will be the role of the different players? What are the options for them to work together? We'll have a number also of stakeholders will, I hope, give their thought on that. We'll then have, of course, the opportunity for everyone to participate and give their views and ask questions. It will be also very interesting to get the user's perspective from the OEMs on the requirements, specifically on the teleoperation use cases. Then we'll have a panel discussion and on the legal and regulatory aspects from telecom operators, but also from national authorities from various countries, so followed by questions. So we expect this to be discussed, all of this to be discussed in the panels today, and then we will be very glad also to hear about that and participate in the question and answer sessions. So now I'm giving the floor to for the introductory presentation from Scott Mccormick, who is running the Teleoperation Consortium and will show why teleoperation is so important as part of the CAM services. So I'm very looking forward for this very interesting forum and for the next presentations. Thank you.
Well, good day, everyone. My name is Scott Mccormick. I am the President and CEO of the Teleoperation Consortium. Late last year, in conjunction with the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, the Teleoperation Consortium was formed as a nonprofit business league to facilitate the interaction and advance the interests of the entities involved in teleoperation ecosystem. And we now have about 50 corporations and several universities from around the world that are participating. We work to enable the collaboration of the companies, the organizations, and the governmental bodies engaged in developing the bidirectional vehicle communications that support teleoperations. And membership is open to essentially everyone except for individuals. Teleoperation, as we all know, can greatly accelerate the development of safe and efficient mobility by combining remote human intelligence with local autonomous control. And our vision is to foster practical autonomy by providing a forum for global industry, government, research institutions to recommend approaches and enable ecosystems. I'll save us some time and not read you the rest of it. I think one of the important things, our board last week just formed a committee on approaches, on categorization of approaches and guidelines. And we are working with Tao Zhang, who's on this panel from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, to publish those through NIST as we complete those guidelines and recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, and I'm glad you could indeed enlighten us about the teleoperation.org initiative.